Good morning. Welcome to the fifth meeting of the Sunset Committee for the 2025-2026 interim. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Daly,
Here.
Assemblymember O'Neill, Senator Lang,
Here.
Senator Rogish, Assemblymember Hafen,
Here.
Assemblymember Wynn,
Here.
Assemblymember Orentlicker,
Here.
Chair Backus.
And I am present. I'd like to thank Assemblymember Wynn for attending today's meeting as an alternate member. Also, I just want to make some preliminary statements at the beginning of this meeting, as I just wanted to remind everyone, even though our title of our committee is the Sunset Committee, sometimes we frequently do bring in boards and commissions just to review any issues, consider like potential legislation. Doesn't mean that we're here to end all committees. So I just kind of wanted to put that at the forefront, because I know we've received a lot of concerns about one of our boards this morning. And so also I just want to kind of make some housekeeping announcements. Agenda items may be taken in a different order than listed. 2 or more items may be combined for consideration. An item may be removed, or discussion of an item may be delayed at any time. Meeting materials can be accessed on the committee's webpage located on the Nevada Legislature's website. You can also sign up for electronic notifications related to the committee's activities on the legislature's website as well. We will have a public comment period at the beginning and at the end of the meeting. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Members of the public may provide testimony in different ways, all of which are listed on the agenda. Finally, I would like to remind members to please silence your electronic devices, especially cell phones and laptops, during the meeting. With that, we will go ahead and open up agenda item 2 for public comment. We'll go ahead and start here in Las Vegas. So please feel free to begin when you're ready.
All right. Good morning, Sunset Committee. My name is Kev Galgano, and I want to raise 3 issues that the Private Investigators Licensing Board has deviated from Nevada law, each representing a continuing pattern rather than a one-time incident. The first issue is public safety. Under NRS 648.110, the PILB is prohibited from granting security registrations to anyone convicted of a felony or a dangerous weapon offense. At the board's quarterly meeting in March of this year, I have confirmed that 19 applicants were approved based only on full disclosure of their disqualifying convictions. NAC 648.339 orders mandatory denial in these cases without exception in written law. The second issue is due process. Under NRS 622A.380 and NRS 233B.125, the PILB must issue a written final order within 60 days of an appeal denial, with findings of fact and conclusions of law separately stated. The current executive director of the PILB incorrectly stated that this document is not even required, and the board's own non-compliance is blocking the only legal path the law gives applicants to challenge its decisions for a judicial review in the courtroom. The third issue is rulemaking. The board enforces a mandatory form called the Verification of Employment for Armed Security, the VEAS form, which controls every armed security worker's access to firearms authorization. This form does not appear anywhere in the actual adopted Nevada Administrative Code, confirmed directly from the legislature's own 2024 regulation text. 18 speakers appeared at the June 10 quarterly meeting for public comment, including legal representation for the Nevada Association of Certified Firearms Instructors, raising concerns about this VEAS form and its legal foundation. I have already addressed and submitted correspondence to the Audit and Legislative Commission email addresses regarding this VEAS form, and I intend to forward my complete documented research materials to the LCB and the Governor's Office by the end of this week. regarding the PILB and their licensing due process and rulemaking operations. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate this opportunity to address the Sunset Committee about this.
Thank you. And you can also, if you want to put your full remarks in your documentation, feel free to send that onto our committee secretary as well. Thank you so much. With that, is there anyone else here in Las Vegas wishing to give public comment this morning? Please feel free, anyone that wants to make public comment, make your way up to the dais and we can go in order. The mic is on for you right now. But I just also wanted to note the telephone number just in case anyone is listening online and wishes to call in, because we'll take in public comment over the phone as our last round after we go to Carson City. And that telephone number today is 1-888-475-4499. And the meeting ID is 853-5533-2669. With that, sir, go ahead. You're ready.
Good morning. Tim Jackson, Executive Director for the NIAA, Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association. The NIAA staff took the questions, feedback, and discussions from the May 22nd Sunset Committee meeting back to the NIAA Board of Control. At the June 2nd and 3rd meeting, the board was updated on all items that were discussed, and plans were made to begin moving forward with items discussed at the meeting by members of the committee, other legislators, member schools, and educational partners to address areas of concern. The items identified below begin to lay the foundation for changes, revisions, and improvements to the NIAA and those that we are seeking to implement. Coaches, education, and student protections. The NIAA will stress with individual schools and districts the importance of coach education and professional development, with particular emphasis on student safety, professional boundaries, mandatory reporting requirements, and the prevention of misconduct. The association will continue to partner with the NFHS and other organizations to strengthen educational resources available to schools, districts, coaches, and school personnel. Governance and board representation. The NIAA Board of Control will review its current governance structure originally established in 1971 and evaluate options for broader representation, including consideration of charter and private school participation. The NIAA staff will present potential regulation changes and amendments to the board for review, with anticipated public workshops and developments at the September Board of Control meeting. The recommendations are intended to modernize the governance structure of the NIAA by shifting representation away from original geography-based model toward one that reflects the competitive classifications and school types that make up the association. The proposal seeks to ensure that every classification in institutional sector, public, private, and charter, has a direct voting voice in governance, rather than allowing representation to be concentrated by geographic region. In addition, the proposal strengthens alignment with district leadership by transferring appointment authority for school trustees to the superintendents, who already play a central role in the association's legislative commission and day-to-day educational administration. In summary, the proposal is designed to create a governance structure that is more representative, more efficient, more closely aligned with member school leadership, and better positioned to provide impartial and effective oversight of interscholastic athletics in Nevada. Information requested by the Sunset Committee has been submitted by the NIAA, including a complete list of member schools and their locations, current regional classifications, Board of Control voting representation by region, student athlete participation and enrollment data by classification and school type, additional information regarding governance structure and representation. The NIAA continues to be committed towards working collaboratively with the legislative members, member schools, and educational stakeholders to ensure that interscholastic athletics continues to provide safe, equitable, and meaningful opportunities for all student athletes. I will provide a copy to the Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to give public comment this morning? With that, we'll go ahead and we'll go to Carson City. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to give public comment this morning? I don't see anyone come. Oh, there's someone coming to the dais. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jocelyn. I'm a physician assistant. I live in Carson City, and I really thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. I'm here to express my strong opposition to the proposed sunset of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners. For the past 2 years, I've been trying to get my license through this board. While I'm not yet licensed, going through this process has shown me just how important this board is, not only for practitioners like myself, but for the safety and the protection of patients in our community and our state. What stands out even more to me is the community this board has fostered. In working with its members, I've seen a group of practitioners who genuinely care about their patients, about each other, about making the world a better place one step at a time. I've been in medicine since I was 16 years old. I've seen all kinds of people. I've worked in all kinds of environments, allopathic and alternative. And I can say without hesitation, I've never encountered a group of doctors and practitioners who are more compassionate and thoughtful or dedicated to patient-centered care. That's something incredibly valuable, and it's something we should be working towards preserving and not eliminating. We're seeing a growing number of patients seeking care beyond the conventional medicine, care that aligns with their values and individual needs. In a free society, patients should have the right to make informed choices about their health care. Maintaining access to licensed homeopathic providers ensures those choices remain safe, transparent, and regulated. The board establishes standards for training, licensure, and accountability, provides a clear and legal and professional framework that supports safe and ethical practice. Nevada has an opportunity to grow in medicine and in wellness tourism. People are actively traveling to seek integrative care, and we can bring them to our state by keeping this board alive and well. In summary, this board protects patient safety, preserves freedom of choice, supports economic opportunity, and upholds a community of deeply caring practitioners who are committed to improving lives. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to oppose the sunset of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners and instead support its continuation and improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to give public testimony this morning? If you all can, if there's people that are willing to make it just easier, you can all move up to the dais to give public comment, and then just we'll start with the lady in the middle.
Good morning. Everything she said, yes. And also, my name is Grace Fuller. I'm from Reno, and I am submitting this comment regarding the sunset review of the Nevada Homeopathic Medical Examiners. I have used homeopathy for over 50 years and I strongly value having access to a range of healthcare options. For me, complementary and alternative approaches have provided another perspective when I was looking for answers. One of the things I appreciate about homeopathic practitioners is the time they spend listening, looking at the whole picture and considering options beyond pharmaceuticals or procedures. Longer appointments and individualized attention can be very meaningful to patients who feel they need a different approach. Over the years, I have experienced many situations where homeopathy has been an important part of my health journey. Most recently, I have had a severe rash diagnosed as sweet syndrome that lasted approximately 5 months. I made multiple visits to a dermatologist, had 4 biopsies, and tried several medications, but the condition did not resolve. After seeing a homeopath, my rash completely disappeared within 24 hours. My younger brother, his teeth are etched because he had so many antibiotics when he was young, and his ongoing condition never improved even with all those antibiotics. One visit to a homeopath and he never had that same condition again. He's now 61. I understand that healthcare decisions are personal and that every patient experience is different. My concern is that Nevadans continue to have freedom to choose qualified practitioners and have access to options that they believe support their health and well-being. I respectfully ask that the committee to consider the importance of patient choice and maintaining access to homeopathic care in Nevada. Also, to address Jessica's medical people coming from other states to receive care here at my homeopath. I've seen people there from Minnesota, always from California, far away from Winnemucca in Nevada. There's almost somebody from a different part of not just Reno every time I am there. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Greetings, Sunset Committee. My name is Michael Gerber. I'm an MD-HMD, and I have served as the president of the Nevada Homeopathic and Integrated Medical Association for the past 27 years. During that time, our organization has provided continuing medical education and professional support for physicians practicing homeopathic and integrated medicine in Nevada. Homeopathic medicine was the dominant form of medicine in the United States prior to 1910 and remains a highly specialized field of medical practice. It is a complex science requiring extensive education and training, as evidenced by the vast body of literature contained within the homeopathic repertoire and materia medica, which I have copies here. And homeopathy, did I come through at all on that? Did you receive that all?
No, we heard you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
So these in homeopathy, we give remedies and homeopathic medicines based not only on physical but on emotional profiles as well. And it's especially well suited to children, especially with behavioral and neurological problems. Since 1983, the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners has overseen the safe and effective practice of homeopathic and integrated medicine in Nevada. The board regulates physicians who provide a wide range of specialized treatments, including homeopathic medicine, chelation therapy for the removal of toxic heavy metals such as mercury, lead, and arsenic, which are commonly encountered in Nevada, herbology and botanical medicine, orthomolecular medicine, including vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and bioidentical hormone balancing, infectious disease therapies and oxidative treatments, neural therapy, a German-developed pain management technique, cardiovascular disease treatment, stress management, and support for personality and behavioral disorders, chronic illness treatment, and many other integrative medical disciplines. These subspecialties require years of postgraduate study, clinical training, and ongoing education. They represent a unique combination of classical medical principles and modern therapeutic approaches. Sunsetting the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners would significantly reduce access to these specialized medical services for Nevada residents. It would also negatively impact the hundreds of out-of-state patients who travel to Nevada each year seeking care from Nevada's licensed homeopathic and integrative medical practitioners. I respectfully urge the committee to recognize the important role this board plays in protecting the public, maintaining professional standards, and preserving patient access to specialized integrative medical care. And I'm Michael Gerber, homeopathic medical practitioner, President, Nevada Homeopathic and Integrative Medical Association. Thanks, committee, for the opportunity to express my feelings.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, is there anyone on the phone lines wishing to give public comment this morning?
Yes, Chair. If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 or raise hand in your Zoom window now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 or raise hand in the Zoom window now.
Good morning, members of the Sunset Committee. Bob Russo for the record. I live in Gardnerville. I'm making the request that you please recommend a continuation of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Examiners. Doing so will help preserve the vibrant, integrative homeopathic medical profession of Nevada. I want to add that preserving the Homeopathic Board gives Nevadans and individuals that travel to Nevada far greater choices in health care and the availability of doctors fluent in homeopathic integrative medical practices. It's been my experience that going to an integrative doctor puts a great deal of responsibility for one's healing on the patient. They may have to address certain lifestyle factors and make some changes, such as in diet, getting enough exercise, getting adequate sunlight, and reducing stress. Personally, I think that's a big plus where people have to be part of their health healing journey. For your information, I'm currently a patient of two physicians that practice homeopathic medicine, one in Carson City and another in Reno. Their care has certainly enhanced the quality of my life and my health over the years. I'm currently 73 years old and very active. And I'll go on to say that in certain areas, it has been a combination of conventional and homeopathic care that has produced the best outcome. And we need the homeopathic board to guarantee this. And so we have doctors that understand both sides, that understand allopathic medicine and integrative and homeopathic medicine, and can take the best of both worlds and apply them to their patients. But most importantly, I value personal medical sovereignty and freedom of choice in healthcare. This is a choice and a right that should be upheld and fully protected for everyone. To conclude, I ask you again to please recommend the continuation of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Examiners so that integrative homeopathic medicine may continue to play an important part in enhancing the health of Nevada. Plus, you'll be standing for medical freedom for all. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Katie Banuelos. I'm calling from Reno, Nevada. First of all, I just want to thank the chair and members of the committee. I actually really appreciate your mission in reviewing existing boards and trying to decide what is still important and needed. And I appreciate your time. In this case, I strongly believe that we do need the continued existence of the homeopathic board. I think these alternative medicine disciplines should not be placed under the auspices of kind of the general state health department. They're very specialized, and I don't believe that many people will have the understanding or domain-specific knowledge to kind of appropriately regulate and manage them and to appropriately weigh the preferences of patients and consumers. Just a quick anecdote, I didn't know that much about homeopathy until a couple of years ago, and my oldest child was just chronically congested, completely unable to breathe at night. Just every night he'd be stuffed up, and he just breathed through his mouth for years. And then I went to a local practitioner here in Reno, and it was like within a week of homeopathic treatment, it just cleared up completely and never reoccurred. That was my experience, and I very much value continued access to this care. It's been wonderful for my family. Unless there are kind of changes to the law that specifically protect our freedom to choose alternative medicine and to protect practitioners, I do think there's a place for a board like this to specifically govern this discipline. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Christian, you are unmuted and may begin.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Chair Bacchus and members of the Sunset Committee. My name is Christian Salmon, and I am asking you to keep the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners open, intact, and operating as it currently stands. I oppose termination, consolidation, or weakening of this board. My family has relied on homeopathic and integrative medical care for more than 2 decades. Conventional medicine has its place, but it has not always had answers for my family. The practitioners licensed under the board have offered care, therapies, remedies, nutrition, and integrative treatment options that conventional doctors generally are not trained in and often do not understand. If this board is eliminated or placed under a structure that does not understand this field, patients may lose access to care they cannot find anywhere else. That would hurt more people than it helps. If there are concerns about the board, please keep the board today and address those concerns separately with full notice and involvement from patients, practitioners, staff, and the public. I only saw one negative comment, and I think nearly 170 in the written comments on the agenda. My family is forever positively impacted by the practitioner that we currently see. And we were forever grateful for that and thankful for the board being around to do that. please vote for continued operation of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners. We are not truly free in Nevada if we can't choose our health care. Please do not take this away from Nevada patients. Thank you for your time.
If you have recently joined and would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 or raise hand in your Zoom window now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no other callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you so much. And I did notice we do have quite a few letters online, probably upwards of like over 100 letters that have been submitted. And so those are also a part of the public comment. With that, we'll go ahead and close agenda item 2, and we'll move on to agenda item 3, which is the approval of the minutes for the meeting on March 27th, 2026. Committee members, are there any questions or comments on the minutes from the meeting on March 27th, 2026? I will go ahead and accept a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting on March 27, 2026.
So moved.
I have a first from Senator Lang, a second from Assemblymember Hafen. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion carries and the minutes are approved. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 4, which is the public hearing concerning the termination, modification, consolidation, or continued operation of certain entities pursuant to NRS 232B.240. We will now review the remaining 5 entities selected for review this interim. Pursuant to statute, each entity under review is required to submit forms with information such as its membership, duties, budget, meeting history, and any recommendations for improved efficiency. By statute, the entity has the burden of proving there is a public need for its continued existence. All documents are available on the committee's meetings webpage, including a document from staff providing background information and the legislative history for each entity. We have representatives from each entity joining us today to provide a brief overview and answer any questions. I would like to remind our presenters to please state your name for the record each time you speak to help our committee secretary with transcribing the minutes. This would also follow if we ask any questions in your response. It's always good to start off stating your name prior to your response. If not, I may prompt you, and I'm just doing it so that we can keep track for purposes of the minutes from today's hearing. First, we'll go ahead and start with agenda item 4A, which is the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners. And so all board members and executive director are attending in one of 3 locations, Las Vegas, Carson City, or Zoom. So I welcome our board president, Bruce Fong, and executive director, Christy Still, I understand are both attending in Carson City, as well as the board's vice president, Melvin Nario, who is attending here in Las Vegas. And I know we also have another board member because I had the opportunity to meet him right before our hearing today. So please feel free to go ahead and begin. Sometimes we start out, go ahead if you want to make a public statement, or if you want us to dive into questions, whatever you feel most comfortable with. So welcome.
Good morning. Melvin Nario, Vice President of the Nevada Homeopathic Board. Good morning, Chair and distinguished members of the Sunset Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners. We appreciate your time as we demonstrate how our board continues to fulfill its statutory mission. Today, we will briefly share our history, recent achievements, financial stability, and a value to the community, and our vision for the future. So let me start with our mission here in history. So as Nevada's pride, the board is the first dedicated homeopathic regulatory board in U.S. history, established in 1983 by Senate Bill 237. Nevada proudly led the nation by creating this specialized framework, so a legacy from our state to our country. And then Arizona later followed in our inspired footsteps, establishing its own homeopathic board in the 1990s. Our mission under NRS 630A is to protect public health and safety while licensing qualified practitioners of homeopathic and integrative medicine and ensuring patient access to these specific imported services. And we also regulate these categories: homeopathic medical doctors, advanced practitioners of homeopathy, and even homeopathic assistants. The next part will be done by Dr. Quinn here.
Hello, my name is Robert Quinn. I am a public member of the board. Thank you very much for allowing us to attend here today and to give you some information about us. I'm going to talk about just a couple of key achievements over the past year that the board has had. You've heard from the public, and I believe everyone understands the value of the board. Well, what have we been doing? We've been expanding membership with a lot of other organizations. Currently, we have 45 active licenses, but we have 15 applications that are pending, and we're waiting for criminal history and fingerprinting. We also take care of complaints. There are 31 open investigations. Most of these came as anonymous complaints for us to review, which tells me that the public is extremely interested in the quality of care that our practitioners provide. And I want to mention that the practitioners that we have are extremely skilled. Our homeopathic medical doctors come from all persons with medical degrees, MDs and DOs, again, extremely skilled. Our processes include apprenticeships as well as passing an exam. So this is a very, very, I would say, impressive and important group of practitioners. We held a workshop on May 27th to finalize some NAC amendments that recognize certain fellowships out there that allow practitioners to apply for licensure by our board. A couple of them are the Andrew Wiles Center at University of Arizona has got a program that allows these practitioners to come to Nevada and apply for membership, as well as other professionals, including now dentists and certified professional homeopaths from other states and other organizations. We've been approached by organizations that are known nationally with homeopaths to become members of our licensees. And I think this is pretty impressive. As you can tell, we're extremely proud of the fact that we are growing. We're also looking into an area of my personal interest, which is certified tribal healers and certified tribal practitioners, which provide care in maybe some extended areas where care is not that readily available. This is a huge organization. We've got people applying from out of state to become licensed by our board, and we're extremely proud of the way that we're growing in that regard. Fiscally, somebody will get into this, but we've achieved a complete turnaround now. We submit our reports on time. We're completely self-sufficient as a board. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm available. Robert Quinn.
Thank you so much. Is anyone up north going to present, or do you want to turn it up to?
They will.
Okay, go ahead and begin when you all are ready.
Good morning, Chairman Backus. My name is Bruce Fong. I'm the.
Can you turn your microphone on? It is amazing that I can hear you, or just put it closer to your mouth.
Is it better now, ma'am? Okay, the light's on. Is that better?
Oh, there you go. There you
Okay.
go. It's perfect.
I'll just lean forward. So again, my name is Bruce Fong. I'm the president of the Nevada Homeopathic Medical Board, and I am here to speak in obviously support of our continued existence. I'm here as sort of the institutional memory of the board. I am actually, if you will, a second generation licensee of this board. My mother and my stepfather actually helped form this board in the late 1980s. I became licensed under this board in 2003, began serving on this board in 2006, and continued to serve until just recently, back 2 legislative sessions ago. And I have served as its president, its secretary-treasurer, and currently, well, they dragged me into being the president again, so it was a good call, I guess. But I would tell you that this board has many ups and downs. having been on this board for the majority of my professional career, I can tell you that this board has been embattled. This board has been threatened by all sides, yet this board, like some little scrappy fighter, has always brought itself back to being in the forefront and being in the positive. I speak with great pride of my fellow board members, all of who were sworn into this board, as myself most recently in November of 2023, that we were given a very dysfunctional unit. I'm just going to say it straight up. There were elements that made this board essentially doomed for disaster. I personally, back in the late 2010s, worked with a lobbyist who I paid for myself to maintain this board. I believe in this board so much, I put my own money, and I won't say the amount, to keep this board alive. I not only did that because I just wanted to protect homeopathic medicine in the state of Nevada, but I do believe that this board has a right to continue to exist because of all the challenges it's faced, because it's been able to overcome those challenges. And I speak with great reverence and pride with my fellow board members, my new my new executive director, that we've been able to turn this board around financially again. Last year in fiscal year 2025, we brought in over $18,000 in our licensure fees, which, by the way, we have no state support. We're self-funded by our licensure fees. We had expenditures which exceeded about $10,500 or $10,600, which gave us a surplus of about $7,000. We have a big issue, obviously, with an old AG bill, but I can proudly report as of today, we are current with the recent bills, and we have a legacy bill. Many of these items on these legacy bills are over 2 decades old. We will be actively negotiating with the Attorney General's office to either redress this, and we've actually made a goodwill payment of $1,000, and we're trying to maintain that $1,000 a month to reduce this debt. This is a program that I started previously when I was president, and now I've reinstated, and I'm very happy that we're able to do that. And again, I find it, again, that we are in a much better place than we were 1 year ago. Again, I thank you for your attention. I thank you for being able to speak, and I turn it over to our Executive Director, Christy Steele.
Hi, thank you everybody, Sunset Committee, Senators, Committee Council for allowing us to be here. My name is Christy Steele. I am the current Executive Director for the Nevada Homeopathic Board. I have only been a part of this board for a year now, and I gotta say it's a great pleasure working with all of our board members, all of the doctors and practitioners, homeopathic assistants that we have in our community here. So financially, I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of Dr. Fong here. Financially, like I've learned, you know, we had a little bit of a past, and it was a little bit of a struggle. There was a lot of hurdles. We've continued to jump these hurdles and move forward. We are making great progress. We have been trying to gather up a meeting with the with our AG to get our outstanding bill paid. We are making good faith payments. We've actually paid a little bit more. We've made a few payments on the old outstanding bill. We should be current. As far as I know, we are current on our bill. Anything new. But our outstanding bill, we are working towards getting that paid off. And as Dr. Fong had stated, this is a bill from well over 20 years ago that we are trying to pay off. Everybody is working very, very hard to keep this board alive. This is a phenomenal group of people that we work with. Thank you.
I think we have a member also online. His name is Greg Olson.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate, go ahead, Sharon, sorry.
No
I
worries.
appreciate
Remind people to just state their name when they begin. Go ahead.
this is Dr. Greg Olson. I am meeting with you via Zoom today. I have a practice in Southern Nevada in Las Vegas, and we have been here since 1980. It's my opinion that without the presence of the oversight and leadership and direction of the Homeopathic Board, that integrative medicine in the United States would have been squashed many decades ago. I started as an out-of-state patient under a clinic that was licensed here in Nevada back in 1983. And after medical school, after PhD training, after significant training in integrative medicine, started a practice here as well. Our licensees deliver significant, important integrative care and give options for chronic illness, for wellness options, and for prevention of disease, especially to underserved, indigent, and marginalized populations here in Nevada, as well as outside of Nevada. Our licensees and certificate holders also address this state's significant need for primary care due to the shortage of and lack of primary care practitioners here in Nevada. Our HMD, homeopathic medical doctor, and advanced practitioner of homeopathy certificate holders are frontline caregivers. Economically, our licensees generate an estimated $20 million in income to the state of Nevada, as there's a significant medical tourism in both Reno and here in Southern Nevada. This would include the patronage of patients at hotels, at car rental agencies, at the airport, and restaurants. Overall, we provide focused, proportionate regulation that protects the public and certifies that those doctors and practitioners coming here are equipped and qualified to administer significant, excellent care. And we want to continue doing so in the future. A few years ago, the Naturopathic Board was sunsetted, and practitioners all over the state left. And we lost a huge opportunity to continue to provide great care for Nevadans. We are trying to work as a board now to allow them a pathway back into Nevada under supervision, under rigorous examinations, under mentorships, so that we can expand healthcare in Southern Nevada. Thank you.
Melvin Ario, just to close off. So we want to give the future outlook for the committee to see on what our plans would be. And this also includes implementing the new NAC pathways that we have actually spoke about. And this is expanding the regulated workforce that we have conducted during our workshop. Also, we're, again, trying to tap foreign licensee doctors. So this is in conjunction with, as the medical board now has been reaching out to fulfill the primary need care of Nevada. This is also an avenue that the homeopathic board is trying to look into to help with this dire need. And continuing strong public protection, again, as we are obliged to do, while expanding access to high quality homeopathic and integrative care. So as also part of the NRS 630A assessment, we are also talking about expanding the coverage of the Nevada Homeopathic Board into also integrative medicine, because this is something that is now growing and actually has a better reflection to what we do and even to our scope of our mission. And for us closing, in conclusion, the Nevada Board of Homeopathic Medical Examiners is effective, fiscally responsible, and actively modernizing to meet the healthcare needs of Nevadans. And like any small organization, we have faced challenges, but these have proven to be blessings in disguise. Under current leadership, we have turned the corner. Uncovering the true potential and strong camaraderie of the board, we are systematically addressing the legacy debt, strengthening our processes, and building even a stronger foundation with valuable learning points that will guide us in the future. We respectfully request the committee's support for our continued operation so we can keep delivering specialized, safe, and accessible integrative care to the people of Nevada. Thank you for your time and consideration. We are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And just as a reminder, when you all are done speaking, just if you can turn your mics off. I'm not sure, Dr. Fong, if your mic is still on. I see like green little lights. So if you could just just make sure they're off so that it's not getting feedback in. With that, I will go ahead and open it up to our members for questions. I'll start down here. I'll start with Assemblymember Hafen.
Thank you, Chair. I have a number of questions. I'll just ask one group of questions for now, and then circle back after everybody else has a chance. Thank you guys for being here today. Lots of questions in reading our staff report here. But I want to start off with the debt. You guys referenced the legacy bill. When I read my notes in the staff's report, it looks like 2018, you guys owed $145,000 to the OAG, and then you guys were able to pay it down to about $111 in 2022, and you were making payments of about $1,500 a month. But now you've stated that you've lowered that payment to $1,000 a month. And so I'm just curious, how much debt do you currently have? Are you guys paying interest payments only now? And how that debt is being planned to be paid off?
Thank you, sir, for that question. This is Bruce Fong again. We currently, we're working with the AG to keep our current bill paid. In other words, when we have a Deputy Attorney General at one of our meetings during a month, we would like to get that paid within 30 days. We have that legacy debt again, sir. As we've mentioned, the line items on that are around 20 plus years old. They are legacy debts, and we are working to get that paid down. Previously, as president, prior to, again, forgive me, I'm trying to catch this correct year, but I think it's 2018, 2019, or whenever. When I was president then, I had a $1,500 a month program set up with the Attorney General. And at that particular legislative session, SB 98, I believe it was, reformatted this board, changed its composition, and at that time, this was given I was advised by our Deputy Attorney General at the time to hold on the payments and allow the new board to assume those payments. Apparently, there was something that was not ever agreed upon, but again, I wasn't there with the other interim, I'll call them the interim board before we got back in here. And it was my intention ever since I took office of president again to resume those payments. And again, we are now at $1,000 to be financially, fiscally responsible. We are hoping to increase our ability to make those payments at least back to $1,500, hopefully more. And in doing so, we've recently sent regulation changes, including fee increases for our relicensure, recertification on an annual basis to the LCB as part of our NAC updates. And based on that and more active recruitment by trying to bring more folks under this board, we are trying to make this a capability, to give ourselves capability of making better and bigger payments, plus hopefully being able to negotiate that bill down further.
Thank you. You actually answered my next question regarding the fees proposal, so thank you for that. But I still didn't get an answer to know exactly how much debt is still owed. And if you don't have that information, I would you could just provide it to us later. But yes, I really would like to know how much debt is being owed, whether or not there's a payment plan established with the OAG.
Would you accept a rough number?
I also sit on the Legislative Commission, so those new fees will come in front of me. Before those do come up, I would like to see that information and would highly recommend that you provide that as part of the regulation backup, because I do want to see that we're going to make progress to pay down the debt that's owed to the state.
Sir, currently we have
Vice President. I have that number for you.
$122,000.
Current outstanding AG balance is $121,859, and that is the current right now. And in terms of your question about payment plans, so we are currently coordinating with the AG's office about, as we say, President Fong mentioned, that the payment plan of 1,000 per month is starting as we speak. We are actually in conversation with them also about reassessing or even hopefully, I hope eliminating. I mean, that's something that I can't speak for now, but that's part of the conversation that we're having with them. And also with this slight modest increase that you did see, if you have noticed a pattern there. So we did have previous administrative and bookkeeping challenges for this fiscal year of 2023 to 2025. And if you notice the budget that we did submit, we did recover on 2025. So once we overcame these challenges, these were the things that I think as we can see the spark or the light at the end of the tunnel, the board can actually produce income in relation to not only pay for the AG bill, but also for the future projects of this board. And we have other plans now as we turn the corner. We have our executive director. So that's definitely one of the factors that will help us with this. And also, as we were commented by the board's auditor or legislative auditor for our now on-time reporting, and monthly reconciliations has been being ongoing in relation to this payment to make sure that this is not going to be missed anymore. And also the biennium budget, as you can see, regular debt payments are already part of that plan. And even we have 25,000 reserves in the future. Hopefully that can be allotted to this as well. And again, the discussions with the AG's office about this specific debt.
I just want to cut in really fast before Assemblymember Hafen goes to his next question. The two of you kind of also, Dr. Fong was speaking when you were speaking, and it kind of created a blip for our recorded system. So I would just ask that you repeat the outstanding AG balance.
121,859. That's for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you so much for that. And then I don't know if you have this breakdown, but one thing I was kind of curious about it was how much of that amount is the actual principal of the 20-year-old debt compared to the interest, if you know?
That I don't have, so I'm sorry. We have to research on that and get back to you.
Ma'am, I don't believe we have any. Ma'am, this is Dr. Fong again.
Do we have any other?
Sorry, this is Dr. Fong again. I believe it's all principal. I don't believe there's any interest on that at all.
So Dr. Fong, one of the things, and maybe we'll wait till you guys take a look at it if you believe it's all principal, but the weird thing is the debt is actually increasing. So it looks, I mean, from us, like a layperson looking at this, it looks like the increase looks like it's interest accumulating. So we'll go ahead and just like wait for you guys. If you can get that information to us, it would be, I think, beneficial for us to understand what that looks like, given the debt had been paid down to $111,000. With that, let me look to any assembly members. I'll go ahead and go up to Carson City for Senator Daly, and we obviously are going to come back down here. I have some questions as well. So Senator Daly, we'll turn it over to you for some questions up in Carson City.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I got all the answers I need on the debt. So I did have a question, or wanted to, and I guess it's just something that I look at on the appointment of the board. I know it's 4-year terms. And then it says that at the end of that term that a person continues to serve until someone's appointed. Has there ever been a situation where someone's gone 5 years, 6 years because no one was appointed? It's just a pet peeve of mine.
Hi, it's Dr. Fong again. Yes, sir. We've had, you're helping me with my timeline. I believe it was 2018 SB 90 that reformulated the board. For a very long time, then Governor Sisolak did not appoint new members of the board. Our old board maintained this board until new members were actually appointed by him at that time. And so there were people. I don't think we exceeded more than 4.5 years or so, but I believe that's what the longest one of us was on there for before we were reappointed, or somebody was appointed in our place.
Yeah, and I understand, and it's just a matter of, we've had this question with other boards as well. and we had one where we saw it in a regulation, they were trying to say the person served until he was reappointed, which conflicted with statute. So we said they couldn't do that. It seems to me that maybe the language in NRS 630A 120 could say, hey, a person can't serve more than 2 consecutive 4-year terms. So you can have a person get reappointed for a second term. But then in the consecutive part would allow for your situation where you come back after being off for a little while, even though they pulled you back in, right? But in any event, you can't serve more than 8 consecutive years. In other words, you can't, a governor or multiple governors couldn't control who's on the board by simply not appointing people. And that's just something we may consider as the committee on making that change. You guys have any comments on that?
Well, I would actually probably support that because, again, I would love, and I've always, as the president of this board, have always encouraged the community to be very much involved with our board and helping to make policy, helping to serve the public interest. It's very nice to be able to get that input. I also happen to serve as a medical director for, I'm not sure if I have permission to say that, but for rural counties, fire departments, EMS. I try to get out there and understand what people need, and I try to help apply that in all the roles that I play. Let's just say I've played enough roles that it made me get a divorce, but we won't go there, all right? But the bottom line is that we care. Every single person on this current board cares. But I think each and every one of us wouldn't mind having a term limit. So I would agree in spirit with what you say, sir.
Understood. I think it's just a twofold thing. I know it's sometimes hard to get people to, want to get onto these boards. But at the same time, you don't want to have a situation where you can just not appoint and keep a person in there longer than they should be. So I guess we'll talk with the rest of our committee and we'll see if we're going to look at something like that. My other questions, and I don't know if you have your questionnaires that you sent in front of you or someone else can maybe answer, but on the, I think it's question 26 on 4A2, talking about improved efficiencies, and I think you list out like 4 things there. So do you believe that legislation is needed to implement some of those? For instance, you said reinstitute the fingerprinting process and proceed to digital submissions. So you don't have fingerprinting now, or you do, but it's got old language in statute, or is it just done by regulation? So that's where I'm trying to say, is there legislation needed to put some of those in, or
Again, this is Dr. Fong. Again, I would say that legislation would help us, sir. In the past, we've kind of done it by regulation and by the policy bylaws of the law of the board. Previously, we just had these fingerprinting cards that were handed off to the applicants, and they were officially from our board. And then those specific applicants could then go to any number of different places. I remember I went up to the sheriff's department back in 2003 when I applied. But since that time, there are commercially available places. I know there's a place down the street from my office that actually does specifically fingerprinting. But we have a very specific system now, and I'm going to ask my executive director to detail that for you a little bit, but that we've been trying to get properly established with, and that has actually become a choke point for us, as I believe we have over a dozen applicants on hold right now because of this process that's put a traffic jam in our way.
Yeah, and before she answers, it just seems to me, because we see a lot of different boards and a lot of different agencies that require fingerprinting. I've seen it in 20 different statutes where they say, hey, you got to put in the fee for your licensing, and then there's an additional fee for the fingerprint processing, because you have to get the fingerprints, you have to send them off to the federal government or the other state agency, and then you got to wait for their report to come back. Seems to me that if you don't have that supported in statute, that you can collect the fingerprints and the fee, I think you have to have that in order to do it. Otherwise, someone could say, you don't have authority to charge me for that, or even request that I have it. So I don't know if it's in statute or not already. Legal can tell us, but that's why I was asking of any of those things regarding, digital applications. I think if you're accepting applications, you could do by regulation that you'll accept it digitally. I was just curious if you needed legislation for any of those things.
Yeah, I would really think that we should put it in the NRS. I believe it's in the NAC, but I really, and because you brought that point up, that's one of the updates we've done is actually be able to take our applications online now. We're working a brand new system, and yeah, we're kind of a bunch of old guys who trying to, like we had a makeover. We've made over this board, and we want to show you guys how much better it can be. And one of the things we've done is brought ourselves into the 21st century by being able to take applications online.
And then,
Melvinario, Senator, to answer your question.
Go ahead.
The fingerprinting and criminal history records information is in our NRS. And it's a mandatory state federal background check requirement for all new applicants. And that's why this is something that is written in our NRS. And this is something that we are very diligent about in terms of, because there is, as mentioned by President Fong, there is a bottleneck for the reason that we're actually, because of the transitions of administrative changes that we had, we have to renew this. And currently, we are actively working with the Department of Public Safety and the FBI to reinstate this. And we're talking about just a few more days. We are all undergoing training for this, and we will be clearing this as soon as possible. So this is actually not, this temporary delay is not affecting our current active licensees, just to emphasize, and even the public safety that we bring to as part of our duties. And we remain fully committed to efficient licensing and upholding rigorous standards along with this.
And thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I would have found it very surprising if you didn't have statutory authority already for that. That's why I was asking the question is, do you need legislation to implement those efficiencies, or do you think you can do that? Coupling with that, I think it's on page 12 of the same document, we are listing out some goals, and then in goal 4, and maybe I'm reading it or not correctly or whatever, but where it says you want to issue certificates to include biological dentists, professional homeopaths, certified tribal practitioners, tribal healers, etc. Are those areas covered? Are those supported by statute that you have authority to oversee, license those people? Because I don't think you can do it just by regulation without the supporting legislative authority. So do you have an answer for that one that's why those two couple together?
Melvinario, yes, we do have an answer for that. So this is in regards to, let me just get my, so in regards to NRS 638.293 and 638.295, these are actually part of the expanding roles of our what we call advanced practitioners of homeopathies. And as we add these specific practitioners, these are basically, there is a specific clause there that the board can actually determine and accept equivalent qualifications of such. So as we now define them specifically in our workshop, these are practitioners that we can actually now vet for and add in. And this is also to answer again the licensees that we have. And even though that we have 45 active licensees as we speak, we can actually vouch that these are high quality specialized regulations that we have and specialized, specialties. And that's why we focus more rather on quality rather than volume. As part of our expansion, this is part of that. And yes, so we do have a specific NRS for these specific, occupations that you just mentioned.
So you do have statute to support that. Do you know what NRS it is? I can go back and look at it.
I'm sorry. I'm sure there is an NAC. I have to give you the specific NRS. NAC there is. I'm going to get back to you on the specific
Yeah,
NAC.
you can get back, because if, when you have your jurisdiction, your board, or what licenses you can issue, what do you have information or authority over, and then by regulation, you would say, hey, well, this is the standards for training, this is what you have to do to apply, this is the fee for the application. A lot of that stuff gets done in regulation, but you have to have the underlying authority in order to issue certificates to, biological dentists or certified tribal practitioners. Can't be done, in my understanding of the process, just by regulation if you don't have the existing statutory authority and have jurisdiction over those practices.
I can get back to you, Senator, about more information about that, so I can give you specifics about it.
Okay.
If I may add that, sir. This is Dr. Fong again. I think this is a good time for me to kind of bring up the fact that the whole mission of this board is to regulate the practice of what we call homeopathic medicine in the state of Nevada. Unfortunately, homeopathic medicine specifically could refer to classic homeopathy, but as it's defined under our NRS, under this great state's laws, it basically defines essentially all of alternative medicine. This board has a fiduciary duty to actually vet things out. So if the next guy comes along that says, hey, I've got XYZ, we can cure your cancer or something like that, it's actually potentially under our jurisdiction to define whether or not that's acceptable. And if somebody claims they're a certain type of practitioner, we do have that authority to define whether or not they need to be under our board. In fact, without getting into details, we actually had a solitary anonymous complaint that's accounting for 90% of our complaints that are currently sitting there, citing, does the clerk, not a clerk, I'm sorry, an advisor at a health food store, do they fall under our jurisdiction for recommending a specific supplement, or falling under our jurisdiction because they recommend a low-dose homeopathic? Well, again, these are all questions we're reviewing, and once our complaint committee reviews that, then that's going to be, if we think there's some kind of enforcement, we would forward that to the Attorney General. So again, the board, by its statute, in other words, I'm agreeing with Dr. Nario in that we do have some type of statute that puts it under our purview, but it's not just to allow us to say, hey, yes, you can be under our board now. It's really a means of saying that we have that duty to protect the state and to regulate the practice of what we define as homeopathic medicine, which really is all of alternative medicine.
And thank you for that. And I understand that it all comes down to what the definition is.
Sir.
And you may want to, just as a matter of make it easier for you, is to have that more broad, all-inclusive, because as soon as you try to list something out, then whichever one you left out, I forget the Latin term for the lawyers use, but the expression of one thing is the exclusion of another. So if you leave one out, and we didn't list it in the statute, then it's obviously excluded. So you may not want to mess with that and narrow it inadvertently. That's why I was asking about, can you go forward with some of these regulations under your existing statute if you think it's broad enough to cover that, and there's some backup analysis that you guys have done. I don't have a problem with that. So I was just curious how broad that definition was. So that I think that answered my question. But if you can, send me the NRS where that's divided, or
we'll do that, sir. And as president, I have a very, very capable legislative committee I've got now, so I'll put them right on it.
Just so I have it, you can email it to me or whatever.
Thank you, sir.
Final question, if I can, Madam Chair. I think it was in their third set of questions and stuff they get, I guess question 12. It says that you guys get to keep whatever fines you may administer or whatever. How many fines do you guys turn out in a year? It sounds like you don't have one, you only had one complaint. Because it seems unusual to me that an agency keeps the fines. It creates a question of, are they going out and trying to enforce things just to increase money? I know Contractors Board, Labor Commission, and the rest of them, they all have to turn that over to the state and many other boards and agencies that collect fines, it goes into the general fund. So is that normal for all of the medical boards, or?
This is Dr. Fong again. I do know that I'm being an osteopathic physician as well. I know that my board over there does keep their fines. There was an issue at one point where I believe their relicensing renewal fees got so much that they actually reduced the fee because they had a surplus in the general account. Kind of something I wish we would have, but we're working on that. But I would tell you that we don't really receive a lot of complaints. Our complaint committee maybe investigates but prior to this anonymous complaint, on average, when I was sitting as president, I think we maybe reviewed 1 or 2 complaints a year. We didn't have very many.
And then not all of them resulted in a fine? Or
Most of them actually resulted in that they were not malpractice. They were not something that would be under this board. There might have been a financial dispute between a given licensee or certificate holder with a individual, but that was not something that this board would handle. We would typically only handle if it was malpractice.
I know it's always been an issue with the people that were licensed or like subject to under the labor commissioner, is that they're issuing fines so they can create revenue. And that's the only, it doesn't look good. That's why I asked the question.
I can safely say we're not doing that, sir.
Yeah, all right. Very good. Madam Chair, that's all the questions I had. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Senator Daly. I'll go to Assembly Member Orlicker.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentations. I want to pick up on something that Dr. Nario said in closing about expanding your work with integrative medicine. And I was glad to hear that, because I think hearing the testimony and looking at, what the research shows, that the benefits of your practitioners are in the realm of integrative medicine. And I think that's a valuable service that you provide, that they provide, and you and your colleagues. But I don't see that value with homeopathic medicine, that the experts who have studied it have not been able to find reliable evidence for the efficacy of homeopathic medicine as strictly defined. So I think it's very important that we not send misleading signals to patients or the public, and that I would be much more comfortable, and I think it would make a lot more sense to reframe what your board as a board of integrative medicine, and change the definition so they reflect integrative medicine and not the classical definition of homeopathic medicine. Does that make sense to you?
Sir, this is Dr.
Yes,
Fong.
thank
I'd
you
like
for that,
to
Melvin Aria. Thank you for that comment. The reason why we introduced that as a board is to reflect our expanded scope of, if you read our NRS and also NAC, that homeopathy is not our only focus here. And as mentioned a while ago, as we even noticed that Nevada is rapidly growing. And as this population grows, there is actually a strong specialized oversight that is needed, especially as practitioners of this nature comes into the state. The statement of protection of the public is something that we have to make sure that we ensure and oversee, because right now there is no board that's overseeing that, not even the medical board. That's why this makes our board a specialized one. And this is what's the behind the scenes of our conversations in the board meetings, that we need now to expand the services for the protection of our Nevadans. And also as part of that, integrative practitioners can also be a workforce that can help with the primary care needs of Nevada. And this is also expressed and sentimented by the medical board right now as they seek more primary care health practitioners. So this is also us working with them, and also us having a specialized service that we can offer as a special board.
If I may add to that, sir, this is Dr. Fong again. So a few years back, actually, I introduced a bill to try to change our name. And unfortunately, it was introduced sort of at the 11th hour, but literally was a boilerplate change. I believe we were trying to change it to the Nevada Board of Complementary Alternative Integrative Medicine, and we redefined HMDs, APHs, and all the licensees we had under there. And it literally was going through our entire chapter NRS trying to put that in there. Well, I understand the workload you guys have, and I totally understand that putting that in at the 11th hour and being that thick of a deal, even though we swore that it was just a boilerplate change, it didn't get traction. I'm kind of hoping that we can do a better job by introducing a bill sometime earlier in the next legislative session. And if one of you guys want to champion it for us, we'd love to have that support. Again, I echo Dr. Nario's sentiment that the vast majority of the homeopathic medical doctors, for instance, are dually licensed physicians. Either, in other words, they have a MD or a DO, and they also have an HMD, which a lot of us consider that a specialty certification, as we allow ourselves to. It literally proclaims that we've spent our careers maintaining a knowledge base, perfecting a clinical acumen in various forms that we not consider conventional. Again, integrative medicine literally is the mixing of, well, at least, what I put on my website and my work, the best of both, if you will, allopathic, in my case, osteopathic, and alternative medicine to find through diagnostic modalities and also therapeutics the best way for all of our patients to move forward. So again, I think that Nevada, being only one of 2 states having a board like this, is very unique and is, in my opinion, very much set up in a high position to offer that, to have a board that has oversight into individuals practicing such medicine. So again, I echo the sentiments, and in essence, as a president, I'm asking for a little help there. If we can help us get this off the ground, we would love to change the name of our board.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with you to make sure that the NRS appropriately reflects the services that you provide that are of value. And so I will follow up with you, and let's make that a summer project.
I'll leave my personal information with the secretary here, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Next, we will go to Assemblymember Nguyen.
Thank you, Chair. It's fascinating listening to the presentation so far this morning. I have to say that, as an immigrant, I am a patient of homeopathic. I grew up with it, so I understand this. So it's very, it hits home, as you would say it, when we were talking about these folks that truly is part of our medical ecosystem. I tried it all. My family, growing up, we tried it all because, we want to make sure that we have all the options available. With that said, I'm a bit concerned about the practicality of independence of your board, since, even though Nevada was one of the first in the 80s to establish this, and then, 40-something years later, the entire country, there's only two boards, right? So I think there is a bit of a practicality issues here that we're trying to make sure that at the same time preserving the integrity of your profession, but at the same time being able to make it make sense in terms of your numbers. So I'm wondering if you broke it down before, I may have not caught it, but out of the 45 active licensing that you have now, how many of those are actual physician and how many of those are assistants?
Hi, this is Christy Steele, Executive Director for the Nevada Homeopathic Board. Sorry, give me 1 second to get those
Ma'am,
exact
if you
numbers
can
for you.
talk closer into the microphone, we're having a really difficult time hearing you in Las Vegas, if possible. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so sorry. This is Christy Steele, Executive Director for the Nevada Homeopathic Board. Let me get those numbers for you here real quickly. It was 14.
While Ms. Steele gets us the specifics, I can, again, I believe we're down to, 55 total or something like that? In the 50s. So we have somewhere in the 50s total licensees and certificate holders under our board. And we currently have, I believe it's 15 or 16 pending applications, including somebody I'm personally training as another physician, that are waiting. So again, realize that, again, that is a significant percentage that's pending. We've lost a number of physicians and certificate holders literally to attrition. Literally, they passed away. And one was actually my mentor last year. So again, this is something that we've had a little bit of a bottleneck at getting our new folks in there to, I don't want to say it's in such cold numbers, but to replace the folks that have moved on, so to speak. So, but we do have numbers waiting.
To give you an estimate, while she's looking at the numbers, HMDs are we are more than 10 for sure, 10 to 15, just to give you a rough estimate. And the rest would be APHs and homeopathic assistants.
Thank you, Dr. Nario. If you can just state your name for the record when you add in, it's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Just one more follow-up question, if I may. The fees, I'm looking at it right now, and the fees you put that on question 28, and you put on maybe some changes to the fees. So the fees current structure right now doesn't look like it's sustainable for your operations, even though it's a very small operation. I wonder, when was the last time the fees was changed? And is it comparable to states across the country?
So we have compared this to Arizona. That would be item number 5. We actually are almost similar to what they offer. And you would see that, and this is a review form number 2. For the Arizona homeopathic physician, 550, we're even higher. For Nevada homeopathic physician would be 600. And then for Arizona, because they have different titles, and this is the second tier for them, like their APHs would be around, I think, yeah, they don't have a classification for APH. That's the thing. We have 400 for that and 200. So they only have an initial practitioner license application. So they have different tiers compared to us. But to compare you head to head is the HMDs that they have with us also. So we're higher than $50, 600 versus 550. So that's the comparison.
So Doc, if you could answer my question, when was the last time that these fees were increased?
Since ever my tenure of my stay as a board member, it has been the same. Maybe Dr. Fong can help us.
So it hasn't changed since the 80s?
No, that I can answer, but for sure recently we have not. But Dr. Bruce, who's been a longer member, probably can help with that.
So Dr. Nario, I'll take that you're not saying I'm old, but I appreciate that. But the bottom line is, sir, Dr. Nguyen, I'm sorry, not Senator Nguyen, the last time I remember a fee increase was over a dozen years ago. So this is long overdue, sir.
Thank you for that, Dr. Fong. And I'm Assemblymember Nguyen. I get confused with my colleague in the Senate all the time, but it's okay. It happens every single meeting. Just the last question here is like, for me is from a practical standpoint, if you're looking at only 10 to 12, 15 at the most, right, licensee, and even though you have about 15 on the wings, I'm not sure how many of those that are physician versus assistant. And even though understanding that we have a growth of populations and we have, a lot of unique needs here in Nevada, I wonder how your colleagues across the country who do not have independent under their own board, how do they operate? And in terms of, their ability to provide, because I know for a fact that, my relatives in other parts of the country do use homeopathic services, with those providers who may not have their own boards, are they somehow, getting less quality of services versus for you all have a very small number of folks who have your own board, but does that changes in how the delivery of service? I'm trying to just get an understanding of the needs for you to be independent versus being a part of a bigger system that have more resources for you. So perhaps you could, get rid of this debt a lot faster and be able to help grow your profession.
Yes, this is Dr. Fong again, answering Assemblyman Nguyen. So these are very excellent questions. It's a very long answer. So first off, let's look back at the reason for this board's existence. It's to ensure the safe and efficacious practice of what we define as homeopathic, but really integrative medicine in the state of Nevada. And I can tell you for a fact I've been around long enough, making more jokes about how old I am, but let's not go there. The point is that I know pretty much, I personally know almost all of our practitioners and licensees. That's the advantage of a small board. And we have the ability to help one another. We have annual conferences. Dr. Gerber, who is behind me right now, who spoke earlier, actually helps to organize a central continuing education event. So we have more than one mechanism to help maintain a standard of care, which is something that we all want. We want the best for our patients. We may go about very different paths how we get there, but we have one standard of care, essentially, that we want to see these patients get better. And as the Hippocratic Oath clearly states that we each have taken as physicians, is that this is first thing is to do no harm. Having a regulatory board helps to assure that no harm is done to a patient. So secondly, you mentioned about literally having so many physicians. Yes, we only currently have 14 homeopathic medical doctors, which are also folks who are duly licensed as MDs and DOs. We have, as traditionally, we have many of our mid-level advanced practitioner of homeopathy, which we currently have 25, and that's the majority of the folks that are applying right now. I believe we only have 2 doctors that are applying right now, and then we have 8 homeopathic assistants, which are more of a technical level, and I believe we have a few of those also applying. So again, I'd like to see our board traditionally get back to where we were before, and these numbers, about what I said, 16 applicants, gets us close to that, because I'm sorry, I'm not the best at math here, so that's 33 plus 14, what is that, 47, right? So we have 47 total right now. With the 16 added to that, takes us close, but I'd like to see our numbers of total licensees get to 70 and never drop below that again. That was something that we had prior to this. And we'd like to see that continue to be the case. Somebody alluded to it earlier that we had a lot of support. We do basically our meetings both in person and via Zoom. Unfortunately, I picked a short straw, so I'm the physical place that we meet at, and I basically have very few people show up there, but then we get into the Zoom meeting and you can barely count the number of people that are actually on the Zoom. In fact, I think we've talked about having to expand our Zoom to make sure we can cover the number of attendees. And these are all people who are practicing or have some interest in integrative alternative medicine in the state. And again, going back to the very essence of your question, why do we need a homeopathic board? Well, this goes all the way back to why this was formed back in the late 80s. Every single, if you will, alternative medicine board that's ever been put under another medical licensing board, in particular, I'll give you the example of the naturopaths, their board was actually disbanded, if you will. They were put under the allopathic licensing board, the MD board, and within one legislative cycle, they were completely gone. The unique understanding of people who have actually done, and frankly, I'm proud of everybody that's under my board because they're pioneers. I was taught in medical school, never be the first or the last to use something new. But then I realized if you're never the first, who's going to advance medicine? We spend all day long listening to, oh, this study and that study does this and that. But who controls those studies? It's not doctors. It's not practitioners. It's not people who are actually seeing the patients that are out there. It is drug companies. It is somebody who's going to make money. Frankly, I may be a physician, but I'm not exactly making buku bucks these days. I do this because I care about my patients, and the vast majority of the folks under this board are the same way. We care, and we want to advance medicine with the latest techniques. And this is exactly why this board was formed, to maintain that autonomy, to allow for cutting-edge technologies, and to make Nevada a place where people could come to get unique therapies that would be potentially unavailable in other places, at least not under a place that was regulated. So again, Assemblyman Nguyen, I hope that answers your questions. If you need more clarifications, I'm certainly more open to make more comments.
Thank you, Dr. Fong. Again, I want to echo my support, and of course, agreeing with my colleague, Dr. Orlichter, I want to make sure that we help you all get to the next level. And we will take this offline, and I would gladly join Dr. O in his effort to work with you all so that we can move you all into a good spot. So, Madam Chair, thank you for your indulgence. I want to make sure that I reiterate the point that I am supportive of the homeopathic integrative medicine, but I think we do need to make some changes, as you all are doctors, and thank you for your services. But as business folks, we need some support and make sure that this board is viable and you can continue to serve Nevadans in the ways that you do. So thank you for your service. With that, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Assemblyman.
Thank you, Assembly members, Nguyen and Orlichter, for kind of taking this on. Just remember, so the Sunset Committee has the ability, we have 5 BDRs that we are able to introduce, and it's something that we have to decide on before the end of August, but this does give our boards and our commissions a vehicle to put forth legislation that can always help out our boards and commissions. I just had a couple quick questions. One was and this is a quick answer, probably just one person can respond just so I can move this along a little faster. The 2-year waiting time period to get a license, is that normal, or was that just because there's been some changes maybe on the administration side or the fingerprint? I was just trying to figure out why it was taking one person 2 years to get licensed or more.
Yes, ma'am. That actually is, I'm sorry, this is Dr. Fong again. Again, the board's been going through a lot of changes, and I don't want to dig up old things, but we are looking, as the old expression is, we're looking up, looking forward, never looking back. We did have some issues, both administratively and otherwise, on the board that were preventing people from getting their licensure or certification. Again, the only hurdle we have now are the fingerprints, and that looks like it's going to hopefully be resolved here in the near future.
That is perfect, and I'm just going to kind of comment on that because I did look at NRS 630A with respect to fingerprinting, and you guys may be limited on where those fingerprints are to be submitted. So that may be something we explore and maybe look at other boards to see how we can broaden that statutory authority. The other item, back to those that serve on the members of the board, I noticed that almost all but one member's term expires July 31st, 2027. Are all of these members in their first or second term, or is it kind of scattered? Because it could create a situation where you get a whole new board at one period of time, and I'm just trying to assess what that looks like. And that's another area where sometimes we can stagger board membership.
So again, this is Dr. Fong. Ma'am, the board just prior to us, the previous administration did not really fill all the members of that board. They had a lot of issues where 3 out of the 4 board members chose not to be reappointed. The one member that was reappointed was with us for a while and was later left. So we were all appointed by Governor Lombardo, and he got us on board at about the same time, and we were all sworn in on that. It was right after Thanksgiving 2023 meeting. And so that's why there's all of us with almost the same maturation dates. And the board members will be reviewing this. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of us would like to be reappointed, but again, I agree with Senator Daley is we probably want a term limit because we want everybody to get a chance to sit here and help to shape the future of integrative, really we call it homeopathic now, but integrative and alternative medicine in the state of Nevada. And by what I've been seeing in the meetings again, everybody does seem to have an interest. They are actually wanting to help. And so I can't say that about any other board I've ever sat on. That, if you will, our constituents or our licensee certificate holders have a very strong stake and they want to be involved.
And that is great. We see a lot of times boards have a hard time meeting quorum, and it seems like you guys have people interested going in the future. My next question is, and I may have misunderstood because I've heard two different responses today regarding complaints that are lodged to the board. I heard a number of 31 and then I heard 1, and I could have been wrong, but I was curious of those complaints. Are these complaints against the licensee or are these complaints about unlicensed individuals?
Assembly Member Backus, this is Dr. Greg Olson. I'm actually on the complaint committee. We had one complaint put forward through an anonymous source naming 31 people as potential needing investigation, none of whom are actually licensed under our board, but are naturopathic physicians or work in other allied healthcare fields. And so we are investigating this. But again, it's one complaint naming 31 people from an anonymous source.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. So that one complaint pertains to like those that are unlicensed under Chapter 630 that the complaints were alleged against. That makes sense now. The other question I have, and that's moving into the differentiated telehealth fees. It looks like it's broadening. I was trying to look at Chapter 630A while we were sitting here to see if there's like authority for two types of licensees, because it's going to look like we're going to have like a domestic licensee, those that reside in Nevada or have a office in Nevada, compared to someone who would be outside of the state. And so I'm more curious about those that would be outside of the state of Nevada who would be securing some kind of foreign licensee, because that would be something that it looks like the statute doesn't really provide for, and that'd be something that would probably have to be addressed. And my question I have a couple questions. One is, why is the fee a lot less annually than those that reside in Nevada have to pay? And then my second question is, for these individuals outside of Nevada, are they licensees like such as in Arizona, or I want to make sure that they are being held to the same standards that we have in our state in another state? If someone can answer those two questions, that'd be great.
Madam Chair, this is Dr. Fong again. Traditionally, we've had folks get a license in the state of Nevada, as I alluded to earlier, under the homeopathic board, to have it essentially as a specialty certification. They may be residing in other states. Typically, it would not be Arizona, ma'am, because Arizona has its own board. But previously also Connecticut, but they're gone now. But again, folks in other states, a number of them live in California, for instance, they have this to show that they have essentially a board certification in essence, and they use it more for that purpose than understanding that there's no jurisdictional means for us to help them or have any enforcement over them necessarily in another state. They use it more, again, as a certification that says that they have training, they've been certified by a certain body. Again, I need to look at the fee schedule. I'm not aware that they're paying less. I think we may be looking at maybe something different here. Anybody with an active license has the exact same fees as far as I know. But I do know that we, in the past, had somebody we licensed who was in a retired state that just maintained their license. We made special dispensation, but that was a long time ago. I'm not aware of other people who have other license, at least maintenance of licensure fees that are any different than anybody else. And again, obviously the standards for all this would be the same. If you're talking about actually getting a first-time license, I believe there may be some additional fee structure because of additional work the board might have to incur. But again, I need to review that licensure schedule to give you a proper answer.
This is Melvin Ario. The discussion about giving out-of-state telehealth licensing actually started with the interested groups or the workforce that we're trying to expand on. And this actually is related to practitioners who does not have brick or mortar here in Nevada and who can actually still practice from a different state. This is almost tailored with the medical board. If you have a license in a specific state, even though you're not in state, you can still practice there, whatever means, physical or even through telemedicine. And yeah, again, that's still as part of our discussion as a board. It's part of our expansion in terms of getting more of the workforce. And as mentioned, Dr. Bruce, every practitioner, may it be telehealth, may be here, will still abide to the same standards of passing the exam, passing all the requirements of education, and even physical practice in relation to, as determined by the board.
I'd like to comment, this is Robert Quinn, on something that Assemblyman Wynn said, and we've talked about back and forth, and I don't know if we directly answered your question, but there are out-of-state practitioners of homeopathy who may be under a certificate from an organization that does provide those. Some of them actually do provide testing, but nothing is as strong an oversight as our board here. Many of those people want to be licensed through us to show competence to their patients or prospective patients that, yeah, maybe our state doesn't license homeopathy or practitioners. However, we are certified in a state that does, and that to me shows a lot of competence in that regard. So the people you're talking about, relatives or whoever, who may be seeing practitioners, hopefully they're certificated, but again, they don't have the exact qualifications met that we have here.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'm gonna just double check to see if anyone has any other further questions for the board. Just checking in Carson City. Okay, and I believe Assemblyman Lichter is all done too. So with that, I will go ahead and thank our board and our robust conversation that we have. I anticipate some of my colleagues will be reaching out to you to have further questions offline. So I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate the involvement of not only other providers in this space, but also some of your patients. It seems like they really care about this area of medical care, as reflected in the numerous comments and stories that we were able to receive in written format. So with that, I'll go ahead and close agenda item 4A, and you guys are free to leave or hang out if you'd like to the rest of the day, but I'm going to have to open up your space. If you guys don't mind making sure all of your microphones are turned off,
And
that would be
on behalf of our
greatly
board, ma'am, we thank you for the
appreciated.
opportunity to be able to speak and be able to work with you guys moving forward.
And with that, I'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 4B. And this is our Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee. We have, as I understand, we have presenters in Carson City. So I'll go ahead and welcome Melina Souther, Deputy Director of Community Engagement of the Nevada Health Authority, as well as Allison Jenko Herzik, the Chief of Staff for the NHA. Welcome. And if you all, as you heard before, if you want to make some short remarks, you're more than welcome to do that.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Allison Jenko-Herzik, Chief of Staff to the Nevada Health Authority. Just want to thank you for allowing us to bring this agenda item forward to you all today. I'm going to kick it over to Deputy Director Melinda Southard to give you an overview. Thank you.
Thanks, Allie. Melinda Southard for the record. Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you again for having us here today. With this agenda item, we are just recommending that all duties of the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee be transferred to the Medicaid Advisory Committee. All Medicaid managed care organizations are contractually required to provide reinvestment dollars back to the communities they serve. Nevada Medicaid recently expanded Medicaid managed care organization coverage statewide as of January 1st of 2026. This further lends to the statewide advisement of the Medicaid Advisory Committee and consolidation of the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee duties under the Medicaid Advisory Committee. Currently, the Medicaid Advisory Committee is tasked with reviewing reports and publications from the Medicaid managed care organizations, such as member publications and quality strategy. So reviewing and providing feedback on community reinvestment statewide aligns quite well with the work that the Medicaid Advisory Committee is already doing. And with that, we'll stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that direct, concise response. We'll go ahead and turn it over to Senator Rogich for questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just not overly familiar with the whole process, and so I was hoping that perhaps you could tell me, how do you measure when the reinvested funds are actually improving health outcomes, such as housing stability, homelessness, and other social supports for Medicaid recipients in Clark County?
Thank you for the question. Melinda Southard for the record. Madam Chair, members of the committee, the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee is an advisory council and therefore does not necessarily measure the impact. However, they do produce annual reports that are published on the website that do combine the feedback given to the committee from the Medicaid managed care organizations regarding their reinvestment dollars, and those members of the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee do possess the knowledge and expertise to provide recommendations to the managed care organizations on where those dollars should be spent, specifically around homelessness and social determinants of health.
Thank you. Members down here, do we have any other questions? I do have a question, and then I'll check in up north as well as online. But the one thing I just wanted to just make sure of is I understand that the request is that this board that we're reviewing today, or I guess it's an advisory committee, be rolled into sort of the state's, the Medicaid Advisory Committee, and that all duties would be transferred. So we wouldn't be leaving any duties behind. One question I had, and I was going to quickly try to look up the statutory authority before asking this, was I was curious what the makeup, and I know this just passed last session, but we have over 1,000 bills we review, and I couldn't remember exactly the makeup of the Medicaid Advisory Committee. If you could just highlight that for us, and more particularly, I was just kind of also curious about community involvement on that board or that advisory committee.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Melinda Southard for the record. Madam Chair, the members of the committee, the Medicaid Advisory Committee, include it's actually Ann Jensen, who's the administrator for Nevada Medicaid with the Nevada Health Authority. We also have a representative representing a member of a profession in the field of healthcare who is familiar with the needs of persons of low income, the resources required for their care, and the availability of those resources. We also have another representative representing an organized group that provides assistance, representation, or other support to recipients of Medicaid. Additionally, a representative representing a person who holds a license to practice dentistry in the state. Another member who is an administrator of a facility for intermediate care or a facility for skilled nursing. Another member who is a person who holds a license to practice medicine in the state and is certified by the Board of Medical Examiners in a medical specialty. Another member who is a person who holds a certificate of registration as a pharmacist in the state. Another member who is an administrator of a hospital or a clinic for healthcare. Another member who is representing a managed care organization. We actually have 4 members who are representing managed care organizations for Medicaid. So they represent each of the Medicaid managed care organizations that we currently have. So we have Health Plan of Nevada, Elevance or Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, Molina, and Silver Summit Health. And CareSource. I apologize. I missed one. In addition, we also have a Medicaid recipient who is concurrently serving on the Beneficiary Advisory Council, and that council is in collaboration with the Medicaid Advisory Committee itself. We have another member who is a Medicaid recipient who is also serving on the Beneficiary Advisory Council. And then we have 2 members on the Medicaid Advisory Committee that are strict members from the Beneficiary Advisory Council. I stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't losing out any important voices should this be consolidated. With that, members down here, any other? I'll take a comment from Assembly Member Hafen.
Thank you, Chair. I know we're not going to be taking action today. That won't be until our August meeting, but at our August meeting, I would like to adopt the recommendation from the Nevada Health Authority and merge all the duties over to the Medicaid Advisory Committee. Just wanted to get that on the record for our August meeting. Thanks.
Thank you so much. With that, I'll look up to Carson City. Do we have any questions from our members up in Carson City for this advisory committee? I'll go to Senator Daly.
I think partial comment and easy answer from you guys. When I read through all of your information on this, it seems to me that we had to adopt the Medicaid Advisory Committee as a federal requirement to continue to get support and various things. Sounds like you have a pretty substantial board or people of advising this, covering all those bases. And then the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee, the one that has some duties, was a precursor to that. So we were trying to be ahead of that curve, if you will. But also from what I can see is county wasn't participating, the larger cities in Southern Nevada were not participating. I don't know if there were any non-voting members that were appointed, because I know there was an element that could be done. So from what I can see, it was only partially operating and not very efficiently prior to that. So I think the merger makes a lot of sense now that we have this federally required and overarching deal. Are those statements correct, that there are people not participating, really don't need it anymore now that we have this other bigger board? And were there any non-voting members?
Thank you for the question. Melinda Southard for the record, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Those statements are correct. We did struggle with some vacancies on the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee, we did the best with what we had. Thank you.
So it's redundant at this point and no longer really needed, and wasn't functioning as well as it could have been anyway. Very good.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't believe we have any further questions for our presenters of the Medicaid Reinvestment Advisory Committee. And so with that, we'll go ahead and close agenda for B, and we will go ahead and open agenda for C and welcome the Commission to Study Governmental Purchasing, commonly known as the Nevada Public Purchasing Study Commission. I understand we have our presenters on Zoom this morning. So I will go ahead and open it up to our online presenters, and feel free to begin if you want to give kind of an overview, and we'll get started.
Yes, good morning, Chairman and members of the subcommittee. My name is Jim Haining. I am the former chair of the NPPSC, as we call it, the Nevada Public Purchasing Study Commission. We did submit a presentation to you, but just a quick overview. Back in 1985, the Nevada Public Purchasing Study Commission was created in NRS 332.125. The current membership constitution is purchasing agents, purchasing professionals located in counties with a population over 100,000 people. So that's Washoe County, Clark County, and Carson City. And also the other smaller counties and entities throughout the state do participate. Our co-chairs currently are Sarah Binger-Grosjean, who works for UNR, Tanita Brown, who works for RTC of Southern Nevada, and Marie Leak, who works for the city of North Las Vegas. But I've been elected to do the presentation. So our objective is to review the laws that impact local government purchasing in the state of Nevada, which are NRS 332 and 338. And then we review the proposed changes to those statutes every legislative session. We are dictated by statute to meet at least quarterly, and we do have monthly meetings during each legislative session as we review the bills that impact local government purchasing in the state. So talk a little bit about our effectiveness. In 2019, we worked in conjunction with state purchasing to propose modernization of NRS 332, which is the local government purchasing statute. State purchasing was updating NRS 333, and they allowed us to piggyback with some changes to make the modernization of 332, which was successful. The only portion that was removed from that bill was our ability to submit BDRs. One of the things that we are supposed to do is to study government purchasing and propose changes. And without the ability to propose those changes, we are ineffective. We have our meetings, we're able to review the changes that are being proposed to various bills during the legislative session, but we've attempted to find an entity or a legislator that'll help champion us with changes we need or would like to make to 332 or 338. And it's been very problematic. We've not been able to find any kind of a sponsor champion in the last 5-6 years. So we're proposing that we be given a couple BDRs or up to 2 BDRs so that we can propose changes. But if we're not allowed to do that, we're recommending elimination of the NPPSC. We probably will continue to review the bills, but we really aren't able to do anything else except just review the bills every session. So with that, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And I'm not sure, because I'm seeing different screens, but just kind of for the public, I do believe the presentation has been uploaded to our legislative website for the interim committee. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and first open it up to Senator Daly, who has a question on this area.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know, and I remember that bill in 2019, and I was the person responsible to get the BDRs taken out. I never thought it was a good idea. So I'm still not in favor of giving this commission bill draft requests. So if that's the position that everybody else has, then we should sunset this. I do think that you guys can still look at things amongst yourselves. You can ask local governments, counties, whatever, to put in bill drafts if you come up with an idea. If you have a good enough idea, you can get a legislator to do it. But most of what I've seen come out of a lot of the recommendations, I didn't think were good ideas and wasn't interested in giving BDR. So that's just my opinion. I'm perfectly fine sunsetting this particular board.
Members, I don't know if Assemblymember O'Neill has any questions. Let me look. I'm looking online to Assemblymember Orlinger. No questions. Back down here to Las Vegas. Do we have any questions? I do have a question, just out of curiosity, because it sounds like kind of like the last advisory commission that we were taking a look at. With this, it sounds like the local state purchasing has been able to work with the state purchasing in being able to address issues under chapters 332 and 333. And you may or may not know this, I didn't pull the statutory authority, but with respect to our state purchasing commission, do we have representation on that committee to take a look at the local purchasing statutes? Like, I want to make sure that we're not just leaving chapter 332 out there. I understand that we can obviously, people can always reach out to legislators, but I just kind of wanted to kind of hear a little more if anyone has any information on our state purchasing to address any concerns that may come up under chapter 332.
So this is Jim Haining for the record. I'm not aware that state purchasing is involved in 332 or cares about 332. We just happened to have a purchasing administrator at the time that as they were making changes to 333 back in 2019, they did reach out to us and we were able to submit things that helped modernize 332 at the time. So I don't have any other information about state purchasing at this time. They do participate on occasion, but they really aren't a part of the NPPSC because they fall under NRS 333 and all the rest of us fall under NRS 332.
Thank you for that clarification. And I assume also with our local government purchasing, that too could fall under like our counties as well as our other areas where maybe if there were changes that needed, maybe that vehicle could also be used for BDRs. Looking around, let me go to Assemblymember Wynn.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to do a quick question to the presenters. Thank you for your presentation. I want to make sure I address the concern that you mainly have in your presentation is that you wanted to make some changes over the years. And, you know, as I look on the form that you submitted, the questionnaire that you submitted, were there changes that you are listing out that has not been addressed? Because as far as I'm concerned in terms of my own membership, I sat on government affairs for the last 2 legislative sessions. I don't remember anybody come up to me, whether individually or on committee level, in terms of asking for any substantive changes in terms of local purchasing, either challenges or things that you're trying to solve. So I'm trying to kind of connect the dots here and figure out, is there a need? And I know Senator Daley already expressed his opinion, but I want to make sure that we catch it here as well, is that are there needs? Because I don't see the needs being explained here in your presentation or even in the questionnaire of things that you need support with in terms of changes.
So annually we submit a report to the LCB and to Government Affairs Committee on what we've done and proposed changes. And we've had one that we've submitted every year for the last 5 years, and it's never addressed. There's one portion of NRS 332 that all of us would love to see change, but we can't get anybody to get us the traction to get it into a BDR. So.
All right, Chair, I'll take this offline. I'll review the reports. As you may know, just for giggles purposes, I mean, we get hundreds of reports and we see tons of emails. And as a part-time body, sometimes we don't have that luxury to look at every single one. But I'll look at your most recent report and see what it is that you are needing some support on. But that's it. I just wanted to clarify on what that needs are and put it on the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll go next to Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify the annual report. I thought it was the commission is to submit its written report on or before July 1st of each even-numbered year to the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. If you're submitting an annual report, where is that going?
I'm sorry, this is Jim Haining. I'm sorry, I might have misspoken. It is a biannual report. There's 2 commissions that we sit on, and they are submitted separately and differently, even though we could probably combine them. We did have Assembly Bill, no, it was Senate Bill 71 last year that was passed, but then vetoed by the governor that would have gotten rid of one of the commissions that we all sit on. So it's unfortunate that happened. That one happened. It was a good one.
Thank you so much for that. Any other questions for this study commission? I don't see it, so I thank you all for your time and frankness and your presentation as to things that this committee can consider this year. So thank you for your time. We'll go ahead and close agenda item 4C, and we'll move to agenda item 4D, which is our Esports Technical Advisory Committee. And I understand we have presenters here in Las Vegas. So I'll welcome everyone to the front for those that will be presenting for our Esports Technical Advisory Committee.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Mike Dreitzer. I am the chairman of the Nevada Gaming Control Board. To my right is Chief Jeremy Eberwein, the chief of the Technology Division at the Nevada Gaming Control Board. Good morning, Chair Backus, Vice Chair Daley, and members of the committee. I'm here today regarding the Esports Technical Advisory Committee, commonly referred to as ETAC. The legislature established ETAC in 2021 through NRS 463.830 to provide recommendations to the Nevada Gaming Control Board regarding guidelines and parameters necessary to safeguard the integrity of esports wagering in the state of Nevada. At the time ETAC was created, esports wagering was an emerging area of gaming regulation. The board sought specialized expertise from industry participants with experience in esports competition, integrity monitoring, and wagering operations. ETAC met a total of 4 times during 2022 and provided recommendations to the Gaming Control Board regarding the regulation and integrity of esports wagering. Those recommendations ultimately resulted in amendments to the Nevada Gaming Commission Regulations 22.1201 and 22.1202, which were approved by the board and adopted ultimately by the Nevada Gaming Commission. The committee successfully fulfilled its advisory role and provided valuable experience during a period of significant development within esports wagering. ETAC has not met since October 24th, 2022. Member terms expired in November of 2024, and the board has not identified a need to reconvene the committee since that time. While esports wagering remains subject to the board's and commission's ongoing regulatory oversight, the board can address future esports related issues, we believe, through its existing regulatory processes and stakeholder engagement efforts. Accordingly, the board does not oppose the sunset of the ETAC committee, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide this information to the committee today. And with that, myself and Chief Eberwein would be happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that very precise update. Kind of probably sitting here all day listening to kind of what our focus is on. With respect to that, I'll go ahead and start off some questions from Senator Ling.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed, you have the members' names and expiration dates of their terms. And I noticed that everyone's term expired in 2024.
Right.
And in fact, one person on there is deceased. I too agree that we should sunset this committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we have any other questions down here. I'm looking up north. It does not look like we have any questions up north. I can't see Assemblymember Orlichter, but I'll pause and see if he wants to pipe in. And I don't think he has any questions. And I just want to thank you guys. I think this will be probably an easy one that we'll be looking at in August to move everything forward. So thank you for your time. I know it's been a long morning, but thank you for sitting here, our chair, all morning. And thank you. We'll go ahead and close agenda item 4D.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 4E. And this is addressing the California Nevada Super Speed Ground Transportation Commission. And with that, our presenter is here in Las Vegas. It's our committee policy analyst, Haley Prohl.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Haley Prohl, Committee Policy Analyst. Today I'm going to provide the committee with an overview of the California Nevada Super Speed Ground Transportation Commission, because this commission is currently inactive and no former representative could be reached to fill out the required sunset review form. As a reminder, as nonpartisan staff, I can neither advocate for nor against any policy position. I have provided some background information on the commission as part of your meeting materials to eliminate the commission's history and hopefully provide answers to any questions you may have regarding its status and previous activity. The commission was established in 1987 through companion bills in both the California and Nevada legislatures for the two states to jointly pursue the development of a super speed ground transportation system connecting Southern California with Southern Nevada. I won't read through the sections regarding membership and powers of duties, but I would like to turn your attention to the background section of the document, which includes information about both Nevada and California legislation relating to the commission, as well as past activity that I gleaned from legislative histories, meeting minutes, and commission authored documents that I found online and through the LCB's research library, just to provide a more thorough history of the commission, especially since there is no representative here today on its behalf. According to bill testimony in 1987, the impetus behind Nevada Senate Bill 406 and California Assembly Bill 1839 were the feasibility studies conducted by the Super Speed Train Task Force and the City of Las Vegas, showing that a super speed ground transportation system connecting Las Vegas and Southern California was technologically, environmentally, and financially feasible. The next step for implementation was to form a bi-state commission with the authority to select the private company that would build and operate the system. Both SB 406 in Nevada and SB 1839 in California set a sunset date for the commission of January 1st, 1992. The idea was that it would only take a few years to select a franchise, conduct environmental studies, acquire permits, and then begin construction, at which point the commission would be phased out and the project would fall into the hands of the private sector to build and operate the system. However, that timeline was not adhered to. In 1991, the Nevada Legislature passed SB 292 to extend the life of the commission. At the time, the commission had initiated studies and formally selected the German-developed magnetic levitation, or maglev technology, but the project delay was attributed to the reunification process taking place in Germany and the war in the Persian Gulf. California had a similar piece of legislation pending in the legislature in 1991. However, it failed and the commission expired in California. The California legislature has not passed any other legislation relating to the commission since the initial founding legislation. In 1996, the commission and American Magline Group formed a public-private partnership to build and operate the maglev system. And in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the commission started vying for federal funds. The need for federal funding to finance the project, including preliminary environmental design and engineering studies, was the impetus for SB 323 in 2001 and SB 276 in 2003. The former authorized the commission to issue bonds, which was necessary to show Nevada's commitment to the project and increase the odds of the project receiving federal dollars from the Transportation Equity Act of the 21st Century, or T21 Act. Nearly $1 billion in federal grants were up for grabs for magnetic levitation transportation projects. SB 323 also revised the definition of superspeed ground transportation system, so it applied specifically to maglev technology. Similarly, SB 276 from the 2003 session designated the commission as a state agency so that it may receive federal dollars. At the time, the California-Nevada maglev project was not only still in the running for nearly $1 billion in federal funding, but it was a top contender. It had the support of Nevada's congressional delegation and the chair of the U.S. House of Representatives Transportation Committee, a key decision maker for where the funding would be allocated. Ultimately, the commission did not receive any of the $1 billion in funding from the T21 Act. However, the commission did receive some federal funding from 2004 to 2008, including $45 million to advance the deployment of the maglev project. In the late 2000s, the national appetite for maglev technology dampened, and there was a shift towards traditional steel wheel on rail as the preferred technology for high-speed trains. In 2009, U.S. Senator Reid announced his support of the maglev project in favor of the Desert Express, now known as Brightline West, high-speed rail project, and proposed reallocating the $45 million previously earmarked for the maglev project to other transportation projects in Nevada. In 2010, the funding was officially shifted to a road project benefiting the Las Vegas International Airport. In 2010, the commission also announced that it had found a foreign investor to fund the project. However, the agreement never appeared to materialize, and the commission became largely inactive after 2010, except in 2015 when it lobbied against its dissolution by SB 457. SB 457, as introduced, proposed replacing the commission with the Nevada High-Speed Rail Authority, because at the time the bill sponsors believed the commission to be inactive. However, testimony from commission members advocated for the commission to remain in statute to allow Nevada to be involved with California no matter what technology is ultimately selected, be it maglev or other high-speed ground transportation. Thus, the bill was amended to retain the commission while also creating the Nevada High-Speed Rail Authority as a separate legal entity. According to testimony, the Nevada High-Speed Rail Authority was key to allowing Nevada to pursue high-speed steel wheel on rail, the prevailing technology being used throughout the country so that the state's rail system is interoperable with California and other states. Maglev was no longer feasible as it was not supported by the federal government or California, and there are no maglev projects in the US, so there is nothing for it to connect to outside of Nevada. In closing, I would note there are a few attachments included in the document that provide more information about the status of the commission and the associated maglev project at different points throughout the years. I would note that the presentation from 2008, which is attachment C, is the latest dated material I could find published by the commission. They do not appear to have a website. With that, Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for all of your hard work that went into this. It looks like nothing has really been happening. It's been inactive since 2010, except in 2015 when the commission opposed its dissolution. But seeing that no one has really come forward to participate in this, we haven't had any appointments to the commission. I think this was probably one of those other items that we end up adding to our list in August to sunset. And I'm looking around. I don't think I see any questions from any of our members. Pause. Anyone? Last chance. Okay. With that, we will go ahead and close agenda item 4E. And we are on back to agenda item 5, which is our second round of public comment. I don't see anyone here in Las Vegas. I don't see anyone in Carson City. So I will go to AVH. AVH, is there anyone on the phone lines wishing to provide public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 or raise hand in your Zoom window now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 or raise hand now. Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers choosing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to agenda item 6, which is adjournment. This concludes our meeting for today. I want to thank all of our presenters, members of the public, and committee members for your time and participation today. Our next and final meeting, at which we will hold a work session to vote on bill draft recommendations to the 2027 legislature, will be held on August 21st, 2026. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.